All right, everyone, the weather has finally broken, although it is about 28 degrees. It's freezing cold. The wind is pretty low, and I think it's time to maiden the Alatus. We don't have anybody here at the field, and for obvious reasons, it's been snowing for weeks. There's been ice everywhere. It's been raining on top of it. So the field is pretty soggy, but that's okay because we're going to be up in the air. And then when we finally land, I think she's gonna belly slide nicely, not get too dirty. Doesn't really matter because I'm ready to fly. So one of the only things that I'm a little concerned about is these cold temperatures. As you know, LiPo batteries really don't like the cold. They start to sag a little bit in the voltage when they get cold. So I've been warming them up in my pocket, which is not really ideal, but I don't have any keys in there, and there's really no issues. I'm warming the batteries up, getting them nice and toasty. We'll stick them in there. Hopefully these air inlets don't cause too much of a problem. I might just tape over them. We'll see if that helps. So it's maiden time. Let me warm my fingers up. Let's go ahead and fly the Alatus and see how well she does. All right, so it's actually a really easy to launch airplane despite what some people have said. All you need to do is go to about half throttle, hold it just like this, and give it a good 45 degree or less angle toss into the wind, and she'll climb out. You don't go full power. If you go full power with this plane, the torque is so strong on the motor that it's just gonna roll over upside down. So launch it about half throttle, and when you let go, it just kind of goes straight and up and you can climb out. So let's go ahead and do it. I'll show you how. All right, here we go with our launch. right, that was our very first flight with the Alatus. It maiden very well. I actually landed it under the hood, so didn't have any problem slowing down. It's easy to launch and it flies pretty darn fast, but it's so cold out here, man, I can't feel my fingers. So I'm gonna do one more flight with it and then we're gonna call it a day. Here we go. Well, I broke my prop on landing. I think it was sticking just like this, but it did slow down really nicely, like I said, and it lands super easy even under the hood. So you got a wing that's well over 100 miles an hour in race trim, and it will slow down to a crawl for landing. I really like that a lot. One thing I did notice that I do need to fix is that I've got a little bit too much travel in the elevator. So I've got 7 millimeters of up aileron and 5 millimeters of down aileron, mixed aileron differential, that is. But the elevator, even at like 5 millimeters of travel, is just too much. It's very twitchy. I've got lots of expo in it, and at speeds like that, I noticed that it would come down to the ground, I'd start pulling back, and then it was just going up again. CG is all the way forward. It's right where it's supposed to be. Feels good in a turn. Feels real good when you're pulling sideways and then yanking back. You don't even have to pull all the way back on the elevator because it's going to turn a 180 so fast. So it's really good for going around gates and things like that. I'm going to adjust this, try to fly again, and there we go. So that's my basic flight review of the Strix Alatus. Very fast plane. I did auger it in just a few times so you can see kind of the dirt on the nose when I was doing my very first takeoff, and just had too much elevator. Like I said, I even dialed it back some more. but it didn't even do anything. Just got a little bit of dirt on the bottom here, and that's it. So thanks for watching my review of the Strix Alatus. I'm gonna go get a coffee and warm up, and we'll talk to you next time.